strip to the top and a strip to the bottom, and then a strip on each side, and then another strip on the top, a strip on the bottom, a strip on each side. Then you cut it in quarters and sew it back together. And it gives you a very mixed look in your quilt. You can mix all kinds of fabrics up doing this. So these were just scrappy fabrics I had given to me by my husband's cousin, and I just said, I'm going to cut them up and do this. So
it's called a courthouse block.
Courthouse block. Mm-hmm. And if you go on my YouTube channel, there's directions on how to make this.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Now, let's get more elaborate, shall we? This is an X and Plus block. This is also on my YouTube channel. And this is the block right here. So it's just this block. And you have snowballed a little 3.5-inch square, snowballed 4 of those, and then you have a long piece in the middle and 2 small pieces on each side. And that's it. And you can crank those out. That's got such a mix of fabrics in it. Yeah, you can show the back side. On this one, when I quilted it, I used the lime green on the back, and then I used a white because it made it look like lacy on the back. Okay. Now, let me go ahead with this one. I'm not sure which is yeah. Okay, this is a fig tree, a fig tree pattern, and it's this one, Farm Cottage. You may have seen this in your quilt store. I loved this quilt, but I hated the colors that she did it in. And I just thought, and I have lots of her fabric in this colorway, but I just couldn't see it made up that way. And so this is how I chose to make it up. So when you see a pattern, you might like the pattern, but you just need to look at a different colorway. So then that's just a blue simple back. Okay. That's that one. Okay. This one. Now, that's the same thing that we did here. If you look at this quilt, this is a Missouri Star. What's this one right here? Double square star from Missouri Star. And I love this quilt. I love it so much I've made it 3 times. It's a no-brainer quilt, right? So this is all Tula Pink fabrics. It's got that wild back, right?
What's it called?
It's called the Double Square Star. And it's Missouri Star Quilt Company. $8.50 right now. Okay, and then I made it up a 3rd time. There we go. In Christmas fabrics.
Because does it go together easy?
It's really, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's one of those quilts where you can just sit at your machine and just feed it through.
Is it a charm?
It's charm pack friendly, but you need 4 charm packs to make this, or a layer cake. Yeah.
So did you sew that together in blocks or?
This is the block right here. Okay. And actually, what happens is you sew this block, and you make up a bunch of those, and then you put them all together the way you want them. But how different those 3 quilts look, and they're all the same. They're all the same. So those have a white background, and this has a dark background, which maybe X is more prominent.
Oh, okay. Right.
This is another fun quilt. This is called Over and Under, and I brought the book this is out of for you. And it is it's in this one. Yeah, Over and Under. And this was her colorway in the book. Okay. And so I made it up in this.
What's
And
the
it's
book
got
called again?
It's called Over and Under, and the book is called Scrap Basket Sensations. It's by Kim Brackett.
And why is it called Over and Under?
I don't know why. This is the same quilt pattern, different colorway. And this is a really enjoyable quilt to make. This is another one of those you can just sit and sew. So, that's Kate Fawcett Fabrics, and there's a fish panel in the back. I had to piece this because you can't get this fabric anymore. And I looked all over for it. I finally found a little shred of it, and I was able to use it in the borders where I wanted it, but it's a directional fabric, so it just, there wasn't enough to do it the way I wanted, but it is what it is. Okay, this is my own design. This is a charm pack that was given to me by one of the gals that we quilt with on Monday Fun Days at Daydreams. And so it's a square and a square, but you cut off the corners purposely. So you see the points are all cut off, but they're done a certain way, and that's what it ends up with. But it's fun, it's fast, it doesn't take a lot of brain work. Okay, let's see. We did this one for Valentine's Day. Amanda and I both did this one. Hers is big because she likes to sleep under them. Okay. Which is a fun one. Yeah, I brought it. It's this. This is Margaret Languedoc, Falling in Love. And if you want to look at these after, you can view them. This was a mystery quilt that was done years ago. And I've done this in 2 colorways. I should have brought the other one, but it's not quilted yet. I still have it in my bin of 50,000 quilts to quilt. Am I the only one that does that? No, it can't be. Can't be. So that's just, I love this. I love this, and I love the little bunnies. I collect rabbits, so. Yeah. All right. This is just a little wall hanging. And this was, trying to think of the gal's name. It's okay. The backside I designed myself because I wanted to have the effect of the star coming through the back. This one has some spots on it, so don't look too close.
Oh, that's so cute.
This is the farmer's wife.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for that one?
I don't, Lori Holt, thank you. Lori Holt, it's out of one of her books, and I just picked out the blocks that I liked and put it together. This is really old. This is the oldest quilt I brought today. Remember Stack and Whack? Yeah. Stack and Whacks are fun. This was an old tablecloth that we had. My ex-husband liked to hunt, and so I took it and cut it up after we got divorced, and it became a quilt.
Therapeutic.
I know. It's funny, if you go on my website, you're going to see a real cute little picture of me. I call it my Betty Crocker picture because You know, I just look so. This is called Cindy Lou Who. And I brought that book also. That is out of Schnubbles.
Out of what?
Another by the Schnubbles. And her quilt. Cindy Lou Who. And what's kind of cool about this book is it's made in 2 different sizes. And she uses pre-cuts to do it. So if you have a pre-cut packet that you like, it'll make up beautifully.
I have that book and I never would have made that.
Yeah.
And that's darling.
And here's her tiny one. See, she has a big one and a little one for each of the quilts that she has in here. You can look through these. Okay, what's next? Maybe chomping at bit to do that one. This one was out of a magazine, and the stars were made with scraps that were given to me by a lady I never met. She just mailed them off to me, decided I needed them, so I made the stars and the blocks on the bottom of that.
Can you kind of stick it in the middle and pull it up so that the house shows? Thank you. That's a really cool. Is that the
Is that a queen size?
No.
Can we see the top again too?
Yeah. Mhm.
Have you noticed they always ask the shortest people to hold up the
And then the border, what's kind of fun about this one is I loved this little strip. It was from a French General fabric, and I just cut it so that it looked like it was, yeah, I fussy cut the border there. And then these are just piano keys.
So where did you say the pattern is?
It's in a magazine, like Quilters. It's from a long time ago. Yeah.
It's in 4 parts and.
Yes.
3 or 4 parts.
I have them still. I put it away, so, yeah. Like quilt makers or something like that, or I forget what it was. But anyway, yeah, that's that. This is a fun one. It's called Painted Ladies. Am I upside down? Nope, there you go. And this one, she did in that kind of a colorway. So very different than what I did it in. And she had a lot of filigree on her houses. There's a lot of little tchotchke that she's got going on, you know, right here. I didn't bother with that. I just kept it very streamlined when I did it. And that was it. This one I just finished after Christmas. Don't you hate when you do that? You start something and where did they put the pattern for that? Well, I do have the pattern here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Lost mittens. You'll see there's 2 blank spots where the mittens are missing. So, and it's got a minky back. Yeah. So that's that one. Now, these are Meadowland. I didn't bring the pattern for that, but Meadowland, and you can hold this up if you'd like. This is a Tula Pink. Okay. That's a Tula Pink Meadowland, and this was Meadowland also, but scrapped. So you can see how different they look, yet they look the same. And if you're looking for a fun quilt to make, this one goes quick and it's a lot of fun. You can mix up all kinds of stuff with it. Okay. Oh, no, it's okay. And this one, it's just a patriotic. There you go. So this one just has a variety of scrap fabrics again, and with a patriotic theme. And you're gonna ask me what this is, and I've forgotten. So I'll find it for you and I'll put it on my website. Okay. There you go. I just taught a class, and I'll pass these around at our guild up in Rigby. And you can look through those. They're all star table toppers. And they're so easy to make. You can take a block of any kind. Here, I'll take one of those. Yeah. You can take a block of any kind and put star points on it. Just takes four points. And then you can quilt it up and you've got a little table topper. And it can just be any kind of block you like. And the directions for that are on my YouTube channel as well. So it could be Christmas, could be 4th of July, could be somebody's birthday, it could be anything. Yeah, you'll see a variety. This one is a table topper that I made a while back, and it's made using the This is what happens when you get to be in your 70s, you lose your mind. What is that? Oh, Dresden, thank you. I looked at you and I knew what it was. The Dresden ruler, and you just cut your piece out of a 5-inch square, charm square, and then you go ahead and have the leftover pieces and you sew those on if you're back, and then I just quilted it up, so that's fun. I like fall and Halloween, so this is another table runner. And it's just circles. Curved piecing is fun. Yeah, well, this is from the book Happy Village. And you can pass that around if you want.
Can you show the camera?
Okay, Happy Village, the way that you make this quilt is really interesting because it's just, she gives you a template in here. You have 2 pieces of fabric and you cut them up like that. And then from that, you glue them back together like a collage on your background fabric. You glue them on. You don't have to sew them together. Like a little puzzle piece, and you'll see as I pass it around how they're kind of staggered in there. And then you cut out little weird roofs and little weird ghosts or whatever you want for your collage. It's a fabric collage. And then over the top of that, once you've got it all glued the way you want it, you put some bridal netting over it. This has black on it, obviously. And then you can go ahead and stitch around the motifs so it anchors them in place. And then I embellished it with some crystals, and you'll see when it comes around. It's kind of a fun one. This is another one that's on that same kind of detail. That's a Dresden plate going around, and then you just add some little roofs.
Was that in the book?
No. Yeah. And what I did was I looked for a lace that had the spider web on it. So I have a lace spider web, and then I glued my Dresden plate on top of that as part of my backing on that. You can see it. Back, yeah, back. Don't look too close, the cat's been all over it. We have 3 cats and they love us a lot.
Well, do they love your quilts?
They love my quilts a lot. If I'm binding something, and if it's a client's quilt, I don't let them downstairs while I'm binding because they want to be right on it, holding it down so it doesn't fly away. So, okay. And this one, I just finished this one. This was a fun quilt to do, and this is called Topsy. And I got this when we were back in Minnesota a couple years ago. And last year I decided to put it together, and this year I quilted it. The back is spun. Yeah. So I quilted a motif, a floral motif here, and then I went back and did a little circle in between each one of these, and then did some filigree on the edge. So it just has a lot of dimension and texture, but you would, you know, when you go into these, we already kind of talked about these a little bit. They're Bonnie Hunter quilt, mystery quilts, and she has a mystery quilt that comes on in November every year. So if you want to get in on her quilts, I encourage you to do it. They look complex, and they're not, because she breaks everything down into one little tiny component that's about this big. And you make 150 of those, and you make 200 of these, and then she'll have to put those together. And so she gradually walks you through that process, and you end up with something like this. So my suggestion to you is, if you want to do something like that, and I encourage you to do it, use your scrap set and wait until she does the reveal, because you may not like the quilt she does. I had one that I made with her one year, and I thought, oh, this is hideous. And we use it, but I don't love it. I should have brought it so I could have showed you. But that's kind of it. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
You have to tell me about that quilt you were telling me about.
Oh,
It's the best story.
I made a quilt for my sister in the 1970s. And it was a grandmother's fan quilt. And I pieced it beautifully. It was really pretty. And it was in peaches and that minty green color. You can picture that kind of. And I gave it to her for her birthday, and I went over to my mom's house a little while later, and I see it in the garage with the cat sleeping on it. I thought, okay, well, I had entered it in a contest in our little town over in Mendocino, and I had won a prize at the local quilt shop because they liked my quilt, right? So I was grossly offended at the time. And it was just tied together. It wasn't quilted because I didn't know how to quilt at that time. So I took the quilt home and I threw it in the closet, and I toted it around all these years. Well, last year, somebody asked me, oh, what do your first quilts look like? And I'm like, I don't even know if I have any of them. So I finally came across that one, and I looked at it and I thought, this is abysmal. It had binding on it that was this wide, front and back. I had cut one of the borders on the bias because I liked the fabric going that way better. Well, I would never do that now. So, and it was tied, and some of the ties were starting to work. So I took the whole thing apart. I mended the little holes where the ties were. I got the backing, and I kind of stripped up what was suitable, salvageable on the backing, and put some more with it. Got new binding, new batting, put it on my long arm and started to quilt it, and I thought, oh crap, look at that wavy border. What am I gonna do about that? And I got out the starch, and I'm starching, and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? So I quilted the whole center of the quilt. And I thought, well, I'll just shrink down the design and make it tighter. So there's more stitching, because when you stitch tighter, it pulls the fabric in. So that's what I did. I got all the way around the border without having to make any tucks or nips or anything. So it's pretty now. Now I can look at it and feel like I accomplished something. It was salvaged from the graveyard. Anyway, so that's it. Yeah.
I love that you did your forest quilt of a stack and whack. I think I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, but why are you called Sister of the Divide?
Okay. This is a good story. Okay, I'm LDS, so there's the sister part. And when we lived in California, at our little branch, we had a little branch up in the mountains. We lived in a little town called Forest Hill. And Forest Hill is on what's called the Divide. There's two forks of the American River. One runs along one side and one runs along the other. You have to take a bridge to get to us. So I was Sister of the Divide. So I used to teach quilting at our little church there, and so that name just stuck. And I think I've had that blog like 10 or 12 years now. And so when we moved out here, we were coming out here for about, 8 years before we moved out here. In 2020, we moved out here and bought a house, and I finally retired from dentistry, and it was like, oh, thank you. And we just loved it out here, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to keep the name because we're so close to the divide, the continental divide. So that's where it is. That's where it came from. So, any other questions? Yes, I'm Miss Amanda.
How do you decide how you're going to long arm quilt your quilt?
Oh, that's a good question. There may be a motif in the quilt that I will copy. If it's something traditional, I'll try to use a traditional style of quilting. I have some that are very modern. It's just the quilt dictates what it wants. So you can just do all kinds of different things. Yeah,
I noticed that you use a lot of stripe on your binding.
I love striped bindings.
So is that just your personal preference, or is there a certain magic about it?
I just think it pops it. Like these don't have striped bindings, but a lot of my quilts do lately. It's just kind of a phase I'm going through right now, I think. Yeah, I think the stripe just kind of finishes it. Yeah. I did a floral on the on that one. Somewhere in here. Here it is.
The
Okay.
bottom,
Of course. Okay, on this one, there's a floral because I just used the excess fabric from the back. And I think it worked because it's got a little bit of interest in it. You just see a little bit of the floral. This one's kind of the same way. So, this is fun. This is one of the first quilts that I long-armed. And if you can see the other side of it, you notice that I ran out of backing fabric. I got all the way down my quilt and it was like, I've got a whole nother foot and no fabric. So that was a learning experience. Got to learn how to piece my backing in on the line. And it's a different fabric because of course I didn't have any more, but it worked. Yeah. And this one has a stripe. Don't you love the stripe? It's like, it's just, this one is the X and Plus block. Uh-huh. Yeah, this is fun. I'll pass this around if you want to look at it closer. You can. It's a fun quilt, lots of variety in the fabrics. My husband and I right now are going through 4 different bagfuls of scraps that I have and cutting them up at night on the Go machine that we have, the little AccuCutter. Thank God for that thing. Yes?
We have a question over here. Your bindings are very even. What is your tip or your trick to getting perfect bindings?
Okay. The bindings for the star quilts, the little star table toppers, there is a tutorial on YouTube for that. You have to go in and take a snip in the corner, but you have to measure first and snip to the measurement, not where you think it's going to go, but where the measurement goes. And then that lets you pull it straight while you're putting that binding on. So you don't have to use a bias binding. So there's a little snip in this corner, but if you just had your raw edge there and you thought, oh, that looks like the corner, and you snipped it, it might not be. So anyway, it'll let you pull it straight, and then you can do it. And you just miter these outside corners, and you just stitch straight across the inside corners. They're very easy and so much fun. And you can use them. It's a great opportunity if you like to do free motion quilting on your tabletop machine. You know, these are small and you can get a lot of practice in. So just fun. You can embellish them. One of them, I think I put some little buttons in the center of one of them, snowflakes or something like that. So here we go. Oh yeah, on the gingerbread one. And the gingerbread one's fun because that one, you just use cookie cutters. So go into your cookie cutter bin and see what you like. I have mittens and I have little gingerbread boys, or you could draw an ornament, whatever you like. Yeah, you can wash them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, by hand. That is glued on. I wouldn't wash it. I wouldn't wash that one necessarily, but most of these you can just toss in the washer or wash them by hand. The one that has kind of a spiral, looks like that one, the airplane. I had a candle on that one day, and it dripped green wax all over the thing, and I thought, oh, it's ruined. And I was just so upset, and so I stuck it in a pot of boiling water with some Dawn dishwashing soap, boiled the wax out of it, and I thought, oh, because it had gone through the batting all the way to the back. I thought, oh, it'll never. And it took it all out. You can look at it. It just came out perfect. So Dawn dishwashing soap and boiling water. Yeah, I had a friend that we were entering a quilt contest, a quilt show in Auburn, California, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with that area, but there's a lot of amazing quilters in the Grass Valley area and Auburn, and so she'd done this beautiful quilt that was all in like cream colors, tone on tone. And the night before the show, she was helping her daughter move, and her daughter had a bottle of soy sauce, and it spilled all over the quilt. And she came over to the house bawling her eyes out. I said, okay, let's stick it in the bathtub. We'll use hot water. We'll use Dawn soap. We'll see if it'll come out. Sure enough, it looked great. Threw it in the dryer, and she hung it in the show and won a prize. So go figure. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Thanks, ladies, for having me out. Oh, thank you. How sweet. Thank you so much. I live in Ammon. We live in Ammon, and yeah, we were looking at Rigby because we have a lot of friends that live up there, but we decided Ammon. And actually, it's funny, my bishop from when we lived in Mendocino County was born and raised in Chubbuck, and he retired out here. He was a school teacher. He retired out here with his wife. He's passed on since, but it's like so many people that we knew were out here already, so it was nice. And we're not bringing those California ways with us, so don't worry. What? Not necessarily. Some of it I do order online. Some of it I will, like when we have the shop hops, I'm looking to collect certain things. I love script. I have lots and lots of script prints that I collect. And this is funny. There was a gal that has quite a penchant for fabric, and she was a hoarder. And she had her house full from floor to ceiling with bins full of fabrics. And they asked us to come and help clear out the fabrics. And so we did that, and a lot of her stuff was just beautiful. It was like stored so neatly in these bins. It had never been exposed to sunlight. She bought 6 and 7 and 8 yards of everything in the collection, if you can imagine. So I have a garage full of fabric. I'll never use it in my lifetime. So I'm trying to work out of my own fabrics that I have right now, but I keep buying them. So I'm a conservator. It'll be like somebody will dig it up when I die, and they'll go, wow, did you know this fabric was made by, I have Laurel Birch fabrics for days. Yeah, and she's gone. She's been gone for years. You can't get her stuff anymore, so. Yeah, and Tula Pink, we all love Tula Pink. So, and I love French General. Yeah, there's just a variety of it, a very eclectic taste in fabric, so whatever suits the fancy at that moment. All righty, well, go on my website. We've jumped from the time I gave them that to 20,000, we're 20,500 now, I think, followers. And so pop on there, pop on our YouTube, pop on my blog, and come visit us.
Hop on over.
Yeah.
I already subscribed.
Thanks. Oh yeah, and I brought some fabric for you guys. I couldn't leave without giving you that. So what's that? I like it. Come up here and help yourself. So I brought. Is that? Yeah, that's fine. I brought a bin of fat quarters. Just come up here and pick what you'd like and help yourself.
So really
I want to go home with
quickly,
an empty bin.
we have just a couple of minutes in our time block. So Annie brought that presser beam, so she's gonna show you really quick the presser beam and her zipper jig, and then come up and get your fabric, and then we'll have a little break, last chance to shop before the next class. All right.
Did everybody see